I bought that place because everyone else thought it was worthless. An old mountain house listed as abandoned for years. No road signs, no power, no water, just fog and silence. The kind of place people laugh at when you tell them you spent money on it. That was the point. I'd spent most of my life being laughed at anyway, so yeah, it felt familiar. The first thing I heard when I pushed the door open wasn't silence, though. It was a cough, a small one. Dry. Too weak. For a second, I honestly thought my mind was playing tricks on me because the listing said empty. The agent said empty. Everyone said empty. Then I saw her. A woman standing in the corner of the room, pulling two kids tight against her like I was the danger. And just like that, the joke was on me again. Let me back up a little. Growing up, I was the kid people didn't expect much from. Too quiet, too skinny, wrong clothes, wrong neighborhood. Teachers looked past me. Classmates pushed me around. Bosses talked over me. You know the type. The guy everyone assumes will stay small forever. I learned early that if you don't fight back, people decide who you are for you. So I fought. Not with fists, but with work. With stubbornness. With staying when everyone else quit. Years later, somehow that turned into money. A lot of it. Businesses deals numbers that don't feel real when you say them out loud. And the funny thing is, once you have money, the same people who used to ignore you suddenly talk like you've always belonged. But inside, that kid who was dismissed never really goes away. He just learns to smile better. After my wife died, all that success felt empty. She was the one person who never looked at me like I was something to be judged or measured. She just saw me. When she was gone, the city felt too loud, too crowded with memories. So I bought the mountain house. I didn't want peace. I wanted quiet enough to not feel anything. Instead, I found a woman named Mara and her kids. The boy Leo stood in front of her like a shield, fists clenched, trying to look older than his 9 years. The girl Ivy couldn't stop coughing her face, pale eyes too big for her head. Mara didn't ask who I was. She didn't yell. She just said, "We'll leave. Just give us time." And the way she said it told me this wasn't the first time she'd had to say those words. I told her I wasn't there to kick them out. She didn't believe me. Why would she? Men with power rarely show up to make things better. Usually, it's the opposite. I left that day with my head spinning, sat in my truck staring at the cabin like it had personally offended me. I could have called the police. I could have forced the issue. Legally, the place was mine. End of story. But all I could see was that cough. The way Ivy's shoulders shook. The way Leo never took his eyes off me. So I came back with food. Blankets, medicine. No paperwork, no cameras, no speeches. Mara watched every move like she was waiting for the catch. When Ivy finally stopped coughing long enough to sleep, Mara asked me why I was doing this. I told her the truth, or at least part of it, because I know what it's like to be written off, and because walking away would have been easier. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about how many times in my life people had assumed I was nothing, and how close I'd come to believing them. In the morning, Mara told me her husband died on that mountain, said it was an accident, said accidents don't come with warnings, but he'd warned her anyway. That sentence stuck with me like a splinter. A few hours later, my assistant called. He'd looked into the property. The price was too low, the paperwork too clean. There were old disputes tied to the land names that didn't want attention. One name stood out. Victor Hale. A developer with political friends and a reputation for making problems disappear, including people. The next time Victor showed up, he didn't bother pretending to be friendly. Polished shoes, relaxed smile eyes that never stopped calculating. He congratulated me on the purchase, then casually mentioned how dangerous the mountain could be, how unfortunate things tend to happen there. His gaze drifted to the cabin window just long enough to see Leo watching us. That was the moment I knew this wasn't coincidence. When Ivy collapsed later that day with a fever so high it scared the color out of Mara's face, everything snapped into focus. I drove them to a private clinic myself. The doctor said another day without treatment could have killed her. Mara didn't cry loudly. She just folded inward like someone who'd run out of strength to fall apart properly. Victor came back the next morning with eviction notices and officials who wouldn't meet my eyes. They talked about zoning safety regulations. Big words meant to sound neutral, but I'd heard that tone before. It's the sound of someone who thinks you'll back down if they push just hard enough. My whole life, people like that had assumed I'd fold. They were wrong before, they were wrong again. I brought in lawyers. Security. I made the situation visible. Victor didn't like that. Men like him survive on shadows. He warned me I was risking everything. My reputation, my businesses. He asked if I really wanted to destroy my life over a widow and 2 kids who weren't even mine. That question lit something in me I didn't know was still there. Because for the first time I wasn't fighting to prove myself. I was fighting because it was right. Things escalated fast. Threats. Power cuts. A gunshot one night far enough to miss close enough to terrify. Ivy's health took a turn again. The doctor said stress alone could kill her. That was it. I stopped playing defense. We turned over documents Mara's husband had hidden. Records. Proof of illegal dumping, falsified reports, payoffs. Victor's name was everywhere. The police couldn't ignore it anymore. Arrests followed. Victor tried to talk his way out of it right up until the handcuffs clicked. When he looked at me across the table, he sneered and said, "Men like him don't lose." I told him men like him only win when everyone else stays quiet. After that, the mountain went still. Not empty, but honest. Ivy's cough faded. Leo started sleeping through the night. One evening, as we sat outside watching the fog roll in, Leo asked if I was going to leave like everyone else. I told him no. He nodded, like he'd already decided to believe me. Weeks later, he asked if he could call me Dad. I didn't answer right away. I just opened my arms. Some things don't need words. I didn't come to that mountain to be a hero. I came to disappear. But sometimes when you stop running, you realize the fight you avoided was the one that mattered most. This story isn't about money saving people. It's about choosing not to look away when you have the chance. So here's my question for you. When you see injustice, do you think it's your responsibility to step in? Or is it smarter to protect your own life and stay out of it? Where do you draw that line? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments because the truth is the answer says a lot about who we are and who we choose to be.